Hey guys, sitting here in my office getting everything together this Monday morning and wanted to give you an update for what you can expect this Wednesday night. But before I look to this Wednesday, I want to look back to last Wednesday. Um, I got some great feedback from some of the kids, and I want to read a couple things to you here off of the computer. One, getting that expo marker last night. This was a Facebook status on Thursday of one of our kids. Getting that expo marker last night made me realize that I'm not the person I want to be and that I've been living this life for some time right now. And all because I strived to be accepted into the in crowd. But now I realize that I can correct all of this pain and lying I've been doing starting right now. That's exciting to me. I think our kids are getting it. Another one put here, happy that I've finally been able to find the real me. Now being the real me around everyone is going to feel so different, but I know God will help me through it. And then I got this message sent to me, and if I can pull it up here. And this young lady said, um, David, I don't want to give her name, but in short, I've been going through some pretty rough patches the last 3 years with living as a halfway Christian, I guess you could say. Well, I find it's very difficult to live 100% in God's world instead of the world's world. Well, last night, when you were talking about the mask and hiding who we truly are, just because we want people to accept us, I realized that over the last 3 years, I've become the one type of person I dislike. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I want to thank you for opening my eyes to the true me and seeing that I've been trying to live one foot with God and the other in the world. Thanks again. And she mentioned a few other things, but I want you to know that what you are doing is making a huge impact in these kids, and what you're doing as small group leaders is really hitting it home with these guys. So I appreciate it. Well, last week we gave out these markers, the expo markers, like we just read about on this girl's Facebook page. I I believe our kids have really been using it. I've heard from several others who have been talking about. I've heard from some parents who have said they've seen their kids writing on it, on their mirrors with it. So it's really exciting to see that this is getting used out there. Last week was all about the masks and putting the masks on. This week we're going to talk about how do you take those masks off, and it's about being uncovered, being real, and the only way that we can really uncover our real selves is if we understand a few things. One, we are made in God's image. He created us. Um, that means that we, inside of us, have this intrinsic value that is totally separate from anything that we do, say, look like, or ever become. We are valuable apart from any of that just because we are created in His image. Secondly, Ephesians says we are His workmanship. That means his his masterpiece that he put value and time and love into because we mean something to him and we have value because of that. And then third, we're going to talk about being content with who you are. And Paul said in Philippians that he went through all this stuff after he accepted Christ, but he learned to be content. Contentment is not something that comes natural to us. It's something that we must learn. And to learn something, you have to practice it. And we're going to flesh that out a little bit. This week, when all the kids come in, there are going to be different computer stations set up around the room. There's going to be a poll set up on those computers, and I want them all to go through and answer the questions on that poll. It will be totally anonymous. We won't know who did what or anything, so I want them to be truly honest. So I'm going to need some of your help being around these computers to make sure that that each student can go take that little quiz to answer those questions without other people looking over their shoulder. We'll try to set them up to make it easy to do that, but we'll definitely want adults at each of those stations just to make sure that that can happen. Um, Halfway through the first hour in the sermon portion, we're going to pull that up live on screen to see what the results were. Some of the questions are going to be fun or goofy type questions, but some of them are going to hit home about wearing masks, about wishing you could be the real you, about desires inside to experience true freedom in life, freedom to be who God created you to be. So I'm looking forward to that as an interactive way to get the kids involved into the message part this week. Last week, the big theme was masks. This week, we're going to add to that not just masks, but other weights that we may put upon ourselves, things that hold us back, things that keep us from being able to do what God wants us to do, to be honest. Mandy Vossman and Travis Kills, a couple of students this week, are going to help me out with a skit. And it's really going to be interwoven throughout the whole first hour. Now, for those who lead 7th and 8th grade groups, that's going to be a part of their video that they'll get to see during their small group time. But the whole idea of this skit is Travis putting all this different baggage and weight on top of him and things that are holding him back. At the end of the hour, after a song that Justin and I have worked on, Justin's singing it, we worked on picking it all out. After this worship time, he's going to come back out carrying all this weight. And we're going to wrap it up, try to make it a moving time for the kids. Something that they can not just hear, but see it happen in front of them. Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. I love these verses. My dad made me memorize them a long time ago. Therefore, seeing how we're surrounded by such a great crowd of witnesses, let us put off the weight and the sin that so easily entangles us, and let us run with patience the race set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who, for the joy that lay before him, endured the cross, despising its shame, but now sits at the right hand of the throne of God. The emphasis we're going to make is twofold on that verse, there at the end. We're going to talk about the masks of last week. We're going to talk about the different pressures and how we have to be content with who we are. Well, this week, I'm going to challenge them at the end, take it off. Take off the weight. Take off the masks. We're going to bring Travis back out, and we're going to talk about that verse. And we're going to pull those weights off of his shoulders. You don't have to carry the pressures of this in your life anymore. You don't have to wear the weight of being perfect in your life, because God created you for a reason. And it says if we want to run the race that he put in our lives, one that he wants us to run, we have to take off the sin and the weights, those other things that we put in our life that may not be sin, but those things that are holding us back from running the life God wants us to do. Now, here's how we do that. Here's how we'll wrap it up. By looking unto Jesus. Last week we talked about who do we see when we look in the mirror. I want to challenge them. When you look in the mirror, see Jesus. You're the one who was made in his image. You're his workmanship. You're the one that he loves passionately. So that's how we're going to wrap it up and lead it into your small group time for this coming week. So get ready. This is going to be a good week. I think it's going to be a moving week. We're going to wrap it up with some great worship time that first hour, and then we'll get them right into their small groups, hopefully in a mindset that they'll be able to hear what you have to say to them as small group leaders. Now you'll have your materials. Learned a lot last week. We'll make sure we print out everything this week and put it into your folders. I apologize, didn't even think about that last week. I emailed it out and that's where I left it, and I apologize. But this week we'll make sure that you have everything in your folders as far as the printouts. If you want to print out the one that we're sending out to you, feel free to do so and make your own notes on it or anything as you're going through and reading. If you're wondering if there's any scriptures or anything you could read over the next couple of days to help you get prepared, well, read the creation story. Back in Genesis 1, how God created everything, looked down and said, it is good. He created you and me and said, hey, we're good. We were made in his own image. So that would be a great place to start. Read through some of Paul's thoughts in Philippians. Philippians 4 is when he talks about that he learned to be content in all circumstances. So those are a couple things that could help prepare you coming in for this week.